Recently, I led a group to Rwanda. And I don't know if you know much about the country and the country's history and their narrative, but 25 years ago, such a tragedy happened, unfathomable tragedy in that country, where there are two people groups, the Hutus and the Tutsis. And for years it had been building, where when you put one people group, put them kind of superior above another people group, it's bound at some point to explode and to come out. And so that was what had happened in Rwanda. And so in 1993, the unfathomable happened. This, what we call the genocide, happened, where all of a sudden it was unleashed and it was unfiltered. And in only 90 days, over 800,000 people had been slaughtered. Not just killed, had been slaughtered. Neighbor against neighbor. People were on church together, worshiping on a Sunday, on Easter Sunday. And by the middle of that week, the slaughtering and the genocide had happened. People thought this would never happen. What happens when a two people group are divided, when they're pitted against each other? Horrendous things happen. Well, that was just 25 years ago. And my guess is if you were there 25 years ago, you would have thought, will we ever heal as a country? Will people ever come together as one? Well, just being there 25 years later, which I was just there a few months ago, we were able to sit and see this country that is today flourishing. But it's been intentional. They've had to rebuild. And we had the privilege of sitting in what they have called reconciliation villages, where they have gone to so many, over 150,000 people were put in prison, the perpetrators. And so what they did was they said, if you are willing to confess, and show us where you put some of the bodies so there can be healing, we will give you a lighter sentence, and we will put you at these kind of create these villages. So as a result, perpetrators and survivors were put together. So we sat in this small circle one day with, I'm going to say, John and Sue. And so Sue had shared her story as she lost her entire family and in the slaughter of this, and she somehow had survived. Then she introduced us to her neighbor, to John. Well, John was the man who had slaughtered her family. Here these two sat side by side. It was one of those things I had no box for. How do you see this man had slaughtered this woman's family, taken everything that mattered to her, and yet they were sitting side by side, and today they are neighbors. How does that happen? Well, as they would share their story, it happened very slowly, and it happened very intentionally. And what they did in these reconciliation villages, they asked people to come together, perpetrators and survivors, and start helping each other rebuild their homes. And they started with building bricks, taking mud and putting it together and building bricks. So brick by brick, they began to help each other build their homes. And at first, they were doing this in silence for many months, even years. It took time to rebuild that trust. But slowly, with intentionality and with forgiveness and with Jesus in the center of it, they began to rebuild their lives, to rebuild relationships, to rebuild trust. And today, they are living in these villages as neighbors side by side. When I heard this and I saw this for myself, it gave me so much hope that in today's divided world that we live in, where hatred is running crazy, where there's divisions and there's walls between race, between religion, between gender, and the list goes on and on. Is there hope for unity? Can we find unity in the midst of all this diversity? Well, the story of Rwanda gave me hope that when you put Jesus in the center of it, amazing things can happen. Reconciliation can happen. Relationships can be restored. Communities can be restored, and nations can be healed. And that's what we're doing. We believe that brick by brick, step by step, one conversation at a time can create healing. When you share your story and when you sit in sacred space and listen to somebody else's story, though they're very different, you start seeing the commonalities because we are one race. We are the human race. And when we sit together in that space, recognizing that every person has the image of God, created in the image of God, then we see our commonalities. We see where love does reign. And through the eyes of love, we build bridges, we build friendships. And that is what the world is looking to see. They want us to show them a better story, one of unity, one of hope, one of love. And that's what I think we can bring to the world.